Hello and welcome to our very first inaugural. Well, I guess this would be kind of like episode 0, because it's a test of our CryoGear podcast, which that name is gonna change for sure. But anyway, I am Jonathan. Uh,
CGCast?
CGCast, yeah, that might be a good one.
Yeah, my
So who do
name's
we got?
David. And we
Who
have a
we got?
silent third here, just chilling out. Feel free to speak up when you'd like.
No. We got
Well,
Tyler over here.
all right.
Tyler the
What a
Rebel.
loser. The rebel, yeah.
Can't start a podcast without some sass.
Yeah, apparently. So, what's up, guys? How's everybody doing?
Oh, not too bad.
Doing
So,
Just
okay.
enjoying the life.
So yeah, I mean, we don't really have specific topics. I figured, so when I was thinking about doing this podcast thing, I was thinking like, oh, we could do kind of like just general topics, leaning towards like video games and Twitch and things like that, because hey, we stream on Twitch, um, and it'd be cool to have like other Twitch streamers come on and interview, but just us for this one for our test. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it'd be a fun thing. Tyler doesn't know much about podcasts. Trying to explain it to him is actually pretty funny, because he doesn't get it at all. Just like most anything that involves technology or something modern of any sort.
It's about right,
So,
actually.
It gives us an interesting perspective. It gives us the equivalent of a perspective of an old person who knows nothing of technology.
Pretty much. I mean, and the best way to describe Tyler is just an old person when it comes to technology. Everything else he's like fine on. If it's technology, he's a straight up old person. Totally like, I don't understand.
How do you
It
do
boggles my mind.
this?
I'm just gonna go
Help.
with I'm an old soul,
Help!
and this is how it's gonna stay. Like a really
Fair
old
enough.
soul. Like not like
like ancient soul.
not like 92, but like way before phones were even invented. Like
Yeah, no kidding. Because even phones, even the simplest technology you have troubles with, as was
well,
determined by
mm,
literally right before this, us trying to get you to figure out how to be able to talk through Discord on your phone, because as nobody knows, when we were trying to do this podcast thing, we are going to set it up and just do it through Discord. But Tyler's computer doesn't have a microphone port, so we're like, okay, well, let's try having you do Discord through your phone. And we had him download it, create an account, go all through all this thing. It was like a half-hour process, only to find out for some reason, unbeknownst to us, he couldn't speak or hear us in the Discord. So, and we can't figure it out because we are not currently in the same area. We're
State.
all in different spots. So, and I'm pretty
Yep.
sure it's definitely a Tyler error. I'm pretty sure that's
no, I wouldn't say so.
It has to be. It has to be.
Wrong. Wrong.
There's no way
So,
it can't be.
it's definitely Tyler error. There's no doubt in my mind.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, so let's kick this off. David, you had some Switch talk. Let's talk Switch.
Oh yeah. So, how informed are you in regards to what the Switch comes with, like what features it has?
Well, for
Like,
me, I know, like, are you talking about like what like hardware it comes with, or just
yeah, like the hardware.
from what I saw, it comes with obviously the Nintendo Switch. It comes with what uh like two Joy-Con controllers and the like little thing you can click them in to make it like one big full controller when you're playing it like on your TV. That's about
Yeah,
the
it
extent.
has the rails on the gamepad too, so you can just play using that pad,
Right.
that
Well, that's like
console.
the gimmick of the console. Tyler, do you know anything about the Nintendo Switch yet? Have you looked into it at all?
Let me.
We'll take that as a no, but I
A
wanted to come up with
resounding
something.
no.
It's a no from me.
Perfect. Well, I mean, that could give us another perspective, someone who doesn't know. So when we talk about it, you can give your opinion and see what you think based on our opinions. And it'll be one of those echo bubbles that everybody talks about. But anyway,
Well, they've got some
uh,
good choices for colors and controllers. They've got a gray and a blue and a red.
oh
Very
yes, they do have blue
interesting.
and red. So David, what were you gonna say
Oh, well,
about it?
you know, I haven't seen, what type of processor or, what graphics unit they're using, but, I'm kind of curious to see how well it compares to the current PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Now, I know
Well,
one of the games they showcased was the Skyrim game, which, it looked really nice, but like, I'm curious to see what potential it has for getting the most amazing graphics. But that's always something that Nintendo's never really focused on was the graphics.
well,
You know,
no,
the
and this, from what I read, this one, it's definitely still not up to par in terms of like graphics with like PS4 and Xbox One, because it is using a Tegra, I believe, what the Android, it's like the NVIDIA Tegra, which is like what they use for Androids. I'm pretty sure. I'm Googling this now. From what I see, it looks like the CPU clock speed for a Switch is 1020 megahertz versus PS4, which has 1600. So as far as CPU goes, not up to snuff as far as, like CPU power, GPU cores. What I'm looking at, it's got a 256 NVIDIA CUDA, whatever that means. Not too
that's
savvy
CUDA
on the tech
cores.
stuff.
So
And then PS4 has 1152 AMD shaders. Um, and then it looks like as far as GPU docked speed, 768 megahertz versus PS4's 800 megahertz. And then when it's undocked, meaning when you have it in tablet mode and you're playing it on the go, it goes down to 307.2 megahertz for the GPU speed. And those are kind of just
yeah,
like the basic GPU CPU comparisons. So it's definitely not going to be graphically on par with PS4 and Xbox One. And I feel like that was kind of the obvious like knowledge on the Nintendo Switch system because I mean, like you said, Nintendo doesn't really care too much about graphics as long as the Nintendo's always been about like the way you play and like the gameplay itself. So
yeah, they've always tried to go with unique aspects. I mean, if we look at the uh, the Wii and all of the Wii controllers with the motion sensor, when they started doing that, PlayStation had their I forget what they call them, PlayStation wands.
no,
So I mean, it
yeah,
definitely,
Those things actually look like little
introduced.
microphones.
yeah, like little pop star
Speak
microphones.
into the microphone.
Did
Yeah,
you ever play with those,
were
Tyler?
pretty funny.
You
Did
know,
you?
I
Oh,
never play with them, but I did use them as a demo, like in Best Buy, and I
fair
was
enough.
just very disappointed. One, because it looked absolutely ridiculous in my hand, and two, like
Well,
I don't know.
funny enough, they still use them for the VR, which I think is pretty funny. But David, David had them. I could have sworn you played them. You might have been in Maryland at the time, but David had them, and it was actually fun because there was this one uh, game that we played constantly. What was it? It was that like weird
Oh, I'm trying to
fancy
remember the name,
sport.
but it was a sports related game, and they just had all these different types of games packed into. There's like an archery game. There was it was like I wouldn't call it a mini golf game, but I'm trying to remember
I'm
what it
trying.
was.
It was on Sports Champions. So if here, let me look it up real quick, because Sports Champions had it was kind of like their Wii Sports, like their answer to Wii Sports. So it had like a bunch of different like games. But there was one oh bocce. It was the bocce ball that we used to play.
Ah,
So
yes,
the one that
the
inspired us
bocce
to like
ball.
we wanted to get like a real set of bocce ball, but they're actually expensive because it is a very fancy rich man sport apparently, unless you go to Walmart and get the super cheap sets.
Which are still fairly expensive.
Yeah, I mean, there were like I think at least 30 for a set. So, and being broke ass fishermen, as we like to call it, we could not afford it. So.
And all that money had to be saved up to go towards various other
Shit.
games or chips and apples.
Yeah, it's the chips and apples. You've got to eat your chips and apples.
Yeah, she can take a hike. I'm so over her.
So her referring to a individual
Demon.
who
Well, that's all you need to know.
yeah,
But
that's pretty much it. I mean, I was gonna get too
one of the
detailed, but
I think one of the interesting things about the Nintendo Switch that isn't being talked about as much is the fact that it has a touch screen. That's
well,
something that
yeah. Well, I
Nintendo
mean,
hasn't pushed as much, but
well, because it's not.
but
I mean, that
yeah, it
it's
isn't
not
their
like that
primary
innovative,
feature, but
or it's not like
but
wow,
it's
like it's got a touchscreen. Holy shit! Because the Wii U has a touchscreen, and look how well that did. So I mean, that was the feature of the Wii U is that it had a touch screen pad that you could play on, but then you can't walk more than 10 feet away from your console without it disconnecting. So yeah, the touchpad thing is cool. I mean, I guess I don't see it being that big of a huge thing because I mean, their DS,
like
the
I
very
I
first DS
wasn't
had a touchscreen.
suspecting it would be the hugest of things, but it does beg to question whether they're going to implement games that specifically use the touchpad. I mean, one popular example would be Mario Maker, you know, for the Wii U, and that
Oh
is
yeah,
a very popular game.
right.
And it would seem if they, they could do Mario Maker too, but the interface for creating levels just it would not be as intuitive or easy to do without a touchscreen. So it makes me wonder if they actually will try and make a Mario Maker too, because that would be easy money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Or even just like a Mario Maker Deluxe with like some DLC maybe. That'd be great with some extra toys to play with. So, Tyler, do you
But that,
plan
that
on?
always leads into a whole new avenue where if they just had new toys to play with, would it be compatible with the Wii U version? Like, would it split those communities?
I mean, I feel like with any
It's
console generation, it's going to split the community for a little while before people finally jump aboard. It usually takes a little over a year for the communities to kind of not be as split. Because I mean, if you look, Xbox 360 to Xbox One, PS3 to PS4, you know, we got Xbox One day one, but not everybody did. Not everybody can. It usually takes about a year or so, and when they stop making games for those old consoles, that people go, okay, well, it's time to get the new console. So I feel like there's definitely going to be a little bit of a community split, but as far as Nintendo goes, it's probably not much because usually Nintendo fans are diehard, so they're gonna get that Switch day one from what I feel like. And for me personally, I'm actually gonna wait until Mario Odyssey comes out because that's the game that sold the console for me. So and that's not until holiday of this year. So I mean, but it's definitely gonna be a little bit of a split for a minute. But with Nintendo, I don't think it'll be that much of a split.
yeah, that is an interesting thing. Depending on what games come out with the system, it really changes whether somebody's going to try and pre-order the system or not. Because I've seen quite a few people say that really there just weren't any games that interested them
Hmm.
for the Switch, which usually is people who they may like Zelda, but
But you can get that on the Wii U. So I
but
mean,
yeah, you can get
that's
that on the
yeah.
Wii U. So it's like, well, tying into that, I was reading on the Breath of the Wild is that the Wii U version is essentially the exact same thing as the Switch version. So we're
Yeah.
not actually going to see the benefits of the Switch's, new technology on this, Breath of the Wild. I mean, the one thing
Well,
that, we'll see is faster load times, but that's just as a result of hardware. Like the graphics are going to be the same, the gameplay is going to be the same.
I
That's
heard the
that's just what I've read.
graphics. I heard the graphics were actually going to be slightly better on the Switch though, because I did read about this earlier. Let me pull it up real quick. But yeah, like I'm pretty because one of my coworkers actually at first he read somewhere or misheard or something, but he originally thought that Breath of the Wild on the Wii U was actually going to have less content. Um, I don't. That probably was just like a rumor before like details came out. But it, then I read an article not long after because I looked into it because I was like that seems kind of stupid. And but I read an article not long after, and I'm pretty sure it said basically that the graphics are going to be a little bit better on the Switch than they are on the Wii U. But yeah, so I'm looking right now. Um, graphics are a bit better looking on the Switch. They've got a couple
Okay,
gifs.
I see. So this yeah, I'm reading it now. It says on the TV, Nintendo Switch version renders in 900p as opposed to Wii U, which is 720p. Although if you are
Right.
playing the Switch on the handheld, or
It'll be basically.
then it's 720p.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I guess the Switch does, have some higher quality environmental sounds.
Yeah, so I think overall it will be better to play on the Switch just because you'll get that little bit
Oh
of
yeah, I
better.
mean like you'll have some better graphic sound, but
But you don't need to. It'll run just fine on the Wii U. I feel
yeah,
like it
it's
might
not
have
gonna,
some frame dips. I feel like,
it's not
but
gonna be pushed to the limits.
so
But
Tyler, do you
when oh
go ahead? Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I was gonna
I
ask Tyler because
can't.
I want to ask Tyler like, do you plan on getting a Switch at all?
I'm not sure. I mean, a lot of the times, like I just feel like Nintendo doesn't push out enough games. At least ones that have enough for me to be interested in buying one. Because
Yeah,
when the
I
Wii
mean,
U came out, my only interests were getting, Smash Brothers, and then also just getting Star Fox Zero. That's really were
yeah,
my only intents in getting a Wii U, which
yeah,
I felt would have been like, a big waste of money.
yeah, and that's pretty much why I got a Wii U. The only reason I got a Wii U was for Smash Brothers and Mario Maker.
Smash
And
Brothers, oh, so good.
yes, and those are the only games I really play. I did end up getting Wind Waker, and I played through that a little bit. Still need to beat it. But yeah, I mean, it feels like that since the Wii. Like I never got a Wii, but there was only a few games I wanted on it anyway. But I will give Nintendo credit on this round. This time around is it seems like they are kind of learning from their past transgressions or their past mistakes, that they're going to kind of focus more on first party content. I mean, the new Zelda looks phenomenal. There's a new Mario game coming out that's along the lines of 64 and Galaxy, or not Galaxy, but 64 and um, Sunshine. So it's more of that open world style Mario, which is the best style of Mario, I might add. Because those both of those are my favorite. So when I saw the commercial for Odyssey, I was just like, I need that. That like I said, it sold the Switch for me. So um,
Sold.
yeah, and there's this game called Splatoon. I haven't actually played the Wii U version, but I've heard nothing but awesome things about it. And they're coming out with Splatoon 2 for the Switch. And a lot of people were thinking it was just going to be Splatoon 1, like deluxe or whatever. So they kind of surprised everybody with the 2. And then what else they got coming out? They've got like their kind of gimmicky games that kind of look fun. 1-2 Switch, I heard got sort of bad reviews, but it looks like it's kind of fun. It's like a bunch of little mini games that you can play with other people. And then um, Arms, which is like this weird fighting game. Tyler, when you get the chance, look up the trailer for Arms, and it looks ridiculous, but the general consensus from
It
what I've
is
seen is that it's actually a lot
ridiculous.
of fun. So
Hmm.
you like use
That
the little
might be
Joy Cons in each
worthwhile.
hand. Yeah, you use the Joy Cons in each hand and like you like use them as like punching gloves. It looks really funny.
That's even better. That makes me think of like Wii Sports when you had like the boxing and like sword fighting.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was my
Basically, what it
absolute favorite.
is. Yeah, basically what it is like a better version of the boxing from Wii, from what I've seen. So, and you can like like so basically you're in these like robots or you are robots or something like that, but you like your arms extend out and you can like curve your arms out and like hook them from like a weird angle. It looks funny. Like when you get a chance, check out the trailer. It's looks pretty funny.
That's one of those games that's definitely a party game.
Oh yeah, and I feel like Nintendo's really great at the party game thing. Like that's just what they're best at. Like the Wii was the ultimate party console for the longest time. So, but yeah, I mean, I feel like Nintendo has their shit together. I feel like this time around they might learn their lesson, and Switch looks promising. Like I said, I'm not gonna get it right out the gate. I'm gonna wait for Odyssey to come out. And if I only get the game, if I only get the console just for Odyssey, like I honestly would be happy because I love Mario and I love that style of Mario, and the fact that they're finally making another one is exciting enough for me to want to get an entire console just for it. And also the price point for the Switch, 299, you can't like that's not bad. It's not incredibly expensive. It's doable. I feel
Oh,
like
it's their peripherals that get you.
yeah,
I mean,
that is what it
$70
is.
controller. Like, oh man, and especially
Yeah.
if you live in other places like Canada, you know,
Oh yeah.
where their dollar is weaker. I mean, that's like 80 plus for just
Yeah.
just a controller. Yes,
Yeah, no,
that's a lot of bones.
their peripherals
It's
are
not very nice.
pretty. Yeah, whatever you do, Tyler, don't look at the price of the peripherals because then you'll never want to switch. That is the one
Oh
downside. If you
God.
want extra controllers and stuff, they are pretty pricey. But I feel like the console itself, the games that have been announced so far, are going to be pretty good from what I've seen. And maybe you'll get another Star Fox. Hopefully, that'd be kind of sweet.
That would be
Um,
worthwhile.
I
Yeah,
feel
but
like that
you
would
know,
I feel like that would be what sells the console for Tyler. So
There's about
yeah.
100% accuracy in that statement.
You know, another game that looks like it would be a blast to play would be the Bomberman that's
Oh my
coming out.
God. I knew you were gonna say that.
Super
Yeah, I
That
haven't played
Bomberman R.
Bomberman since like Bomberman 64, and that was my
oh
game back
jeez.
then.
Man,
Yeah, I
yeah,
remember I'd gotten the Bomberman for the like virtual console on the Wii, and it was cool because it allowed up to 5 players because you could have the Wiimotes and then you could hook up, you know, controllers through the GameCube slot. So it
yeah.
actually went up to 5 players, and we would just have this crazy bomb throwing match. And Bomberman's always
I mean,
been like one of those joys too, just to throw a bomb at your friend,
yeah.
watch them
I'd love
blow
to throw
up.
some bombs at Tyler's face. That'd be amazing.
Bring it on in.
Tyler used to do this thing, David. Do you remember when? I mean, you have to remember. He did it so much. He still does it, I'm sure. He hasn't said it in a while, but anyway, he used to do this thing where he said he would put a bomb in a pizza box and send it to your house.
Oh,
Yep.
yes, back in my pizza days.
Back when you worked as a pizza delivery boy.
Fuck. I forgot all about that. That was like
That was like your
that was my
that was
go-to for like everything.
yeah. That's what I was just about to say. It was like your go-to like comeback for anything. Like, oh
Put a
Tyler, you
bomb
suck.
in a pizza
Yeah.
box. I'm gonna send it to your house. It's gonna blow up your kitchen.
That or throwing a brick through your window. That was a good one too.
Keep it up. I'll throw a brick through your window.
Yeah.
So vandalous.
Such a evil little man.
But you know, going back to the Breath of the Wild, you know, an interesting fact was that it was originally not going to be developed for the Switch.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was supposed to
It
be
was
for the Wii
only
before
going to
it
be
got pushed
for
back
the
so
Wii
much.
U.
Yeah, that would have
But
been
yeah, you know,
stupid.
it got pushed back, and you know, then the thought of bringing it to the Switch, you know, was starting to come up more and more. And yeah, at first they didn't think it was possible to actually be able to do it in the time they had.
Hmm.
So
You know what I
the
think would be a great idea? Is if
What's
they
up?
brought back like Gauntlet Legends and made it for the Wii or the Switch.
That would be pretty dope. But like a new version, not. Are you talking about like a remake specifically of Gauntlet Legends or like a new
No, not a
version of?
remake. Like I want like a
just
new
just bringing the
like a new
series
thing.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
definitely.
would be pretty great.
I remember just like
'Cause I
playing
mean,
the
like,
countless hours with my brothers, like when I was in elementary school. Go through Gauntlet Legends, like spending like 8 hours a day on it.
Well, they did bring it back for PC. They have Gauntlet on PC, and it's actually a really good game. Um,
it's pretty
I,
good. Like, but you know, it
But
doesn't have
is it a
that
remake or
same
a newer
feel.
one?
it's a new one. It's kind of like a
It's
reboot to the
it,
series. It's just called Gauntlet.
Hmm.
I liked it a lot. They they did
yeah,
add the
no, it's really
Necromancer though,
good.
which was pretty OP. Like I don't know if they ever like nerfed that character, but if
Oh
basically if
yeah,
you
yeah,
were
that one.
Necromancer, you could just blow through everything. Because that game is actually really freaking tough if you don't have like 2 or 3 people playing with you.
Even
Um,
with 2 or 3 people, it's difficult.
oh yeah, that's kind of what's fun about it is they made it super difficult and it
Is
was just
this a
kind of
game on Steam or?
yeah, it's on Steam.
Yeah, yeah. Although I
So
wonder if they do have it for the consoles now too.
I doubt it.
I'm
I
certain.
could have sworn it was PC only. We could look it up real quick, but yeah, it's I thought it was a great successor, way better than whatever the heck Beast Rider was.
Wasn't that only a single player one?
It was, yeah, it was a Gauntlet game that
Yeah,
was
that's
only single player.
you
Like
see,
what?
like I don't know, Gauntlet and single player just they don't go together.
That's a
Just
terrible
completely
idea.
ruins.
Like
Yeah,
Gauntlet is meant to be played with your friends.
exactly.
It really
That's
is. And like you always have,
uh
the people who will just play it solo, but that's those
Nah,
those co-op games. Yeah,
those
that's
games
where
are
the
made for the
real jewels
days
are.
like when all your
yeah.
bros come over to the house, you order some pizza, ask them with drinks, and you just
Yeah.
veg. That's what those
Yeah.
games are
Yeah,
for.
although that's starting to become a dying trend with
Couch
so
co-op
many
is dead.
games only supporting online multiplayer or single console multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
really
Yeah.
which
sad because I miss the feeling of going over to a friend's house, or like one of your guys' house, and then we all meet up and play a game on one screen.
Oh yeah, those are the days. And before we get into that, 'cause I actually want to add on to that, Gauntlet is also out on the PS4. So it's PS4 and PC. So if you have a PS4, go get it. If you have a PC, go get it. But yeah, yeah, it was always fun having you guys come over or going over to one of your guys' house, and it was always like it was. I feel like it was generally a fighting game that we'd play, like Soul Calibur. Soul
Yeah,
Calibur is
and
yeah,
the
Soul
definitely
key
one of the top
Calibur.
ones. I think
the
my
key
favorite
part
thing that
about
David.
this. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm trying to cut you
Uh, I
off.
th- why always cut me off, bro? No, I think my favorite part about playing Soul Calibur was that time when we were playing Soul Calibur 4, and David whooped the shit out of us, just annihilated us, and he would have to go home, and we would still,
Oh yeah.
you would be still at my house, or I'd be at your house or whatever, and we'd practice the shit out of it, and then David would come back, and we'd destroy him because we knew all the moves that he didn't.
Yeah, yeah. Like I seriously would say, did you guys even go to sleep? And they'd be like, yeah, like 5 hours. It's like, were you just playing it the whole time? Like, did you even eat? So like they would start destroying me. And I'm pretty good at picking up, new gimmicks of the game pretty quick. So I'd start learning, what they had learned, and I'd learn something new, and I'd start using it on them, and I'd start beating them like a majority of the rounds, and then I would leave for the day, and a day or two, I'd come back, and they would just start destroying me again. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I just finished the day of getting back and destroying you, and now the tables have turned. So
Yeah,
this would happen like 2 or 3 iterations until, all of us had pretty much learned all of the tricks. And
and we
then
all kind of like balanced
and
out.
then I would just kind of like fall off the field because they would play so much more.
Yes, sir.
And it's like, oh
We had to no
man.
Those were
life
the
it. We couldn't let
days.
yeah, we couldn't let you beat us. Like, come on. Yeah, and also
And
like
this is the side effect of having too much time on your hands.
yeah, no kidding. I mean, and it also like another awesome couch game, like not even couch co-op, it was just Guitar Hero. Tyler and I were always head to head on that game. David You weren't so great at it for a while. You,
No,
for some reason, you were
I
great
didn't
at
ever
Rock
I didn't
Band,
ever
but
play
not
it.
Guitar Hero. But
I
no,
was
I
good at
used to
what?
love
Oh, Rock Band.
Rock Band.
Yeah, Rock.
Yeah, I mean, I used to love playing Guitar Hero every freaking day. We would go through the entire list of songs, like probably 3 times over in one sitting between me and Tyler alone, just playing it all day. And it was just, a constant battle because, and the funniest thing to me was like, I was always a master at the rhythm, and Tyler's always master at the solos. So like we balanced out like that.
Yeah, because you'd be pulling away so quickly, like on the straights of the song, like when it was just all rhythm. But as soon
Hmm.
as it started like implementing like different patterns and stuff like that, I had you beat so
Yeah, your
quick.
fingers, you had the fire fingers like I just had the fire wrist, I guess.
Okay, yeah, cool off, bros.
Cool up. No, yeah, and Guitar Hero I feel like is the game that bonded me and Tyler, because we could go into our little origin story of how I hated Tyler at first.
You weren't the only one doing the hate, and I just wanted to beat you
Oh yeah,
up.
no, no. This is probably the funniest thing to me is like, so when we first met, and we hated each other, and to be
Oh yeah,
fair,
they were not
David,
fans.
David and our late friend Colt, you guys were already at my house, and just giving me shit. Y'all were ganging up on me, just being so mean to me, and I didn't deserve it. I didn't. I
Just
was
leave him
just
alone.
being
He's just a
myself.
boy.
So y'all were ganging up on me, talking all the smack, and just being mean. So it put me in a foul mood, and then my mom comes over because this is when I lived with my dad. My mom comes over and she's like, "Hey, do you guys?" And this is like freaking like 2 in the morning or something like that, something ridiculous like that. She's like, "Hey, do you guys want to come over? My roommate's son is alone and bored. You guys want to meet him and hang out?" And obviously, I was like, "No, fuck that," because she also said that you were younger than me, and so at the time, I was like, "Fuck this little kid. I don't want to play. I don't want a younger friend. I'm too old for this," or something. This stupid mindset like that. And obviously, David and Cole are like, "Yeah, let's go," because they're jerks and they hate me. So I was like, "All right, fine." So I reluctantly go with them and walk into your house, and I mean mugged you.
I sent
Because I
that
mean
right
mugged.
back.
Yeah, you sure did. And I did not like you. I didn't care. I didn't want to know you. You were this young kid that I didn't want to talk to. And keep in mind, you know, Tyler is barely a year younger than me. So he wasn't even like this little kid. But I was just like so mad, and you have David and Colt to blame for that. And so basically
Mhm.
brought over my Xbox, and you guys were playing Dead or Alive, and you guys bonded over that, you and David, because you played it and were having a good old time, and I just sat on the couch and
Dude, this guy
pouted
was
and then
just
went to sleep.
sulking the whole time, just like underneath the blanket. And every once in a while, I'd be like, "Hey, want to come play with us?" And you just hear some grumbling, couple curse words. Like, oh man, like his sodium intake was way too high that night.
Yeah, I was pretty salty. And then Tyler's perspective was pretty funny.
My
Um,
perspective on which part?
on what your thoughts on me were when I entered your abode.
I just immediately just like wanted to drop kick you. Like I don't know. Like at that age, like I just had so much teen angst that I absolutely abhorred the thought of meeting anybody.
Mhm.
Just because I've always just kind of been really independent. And I actually got mad at my mom for even coming up with the idea of bringing other people into the house. I was like, no, fuck that. They can stay the fuck in their own houses. I'm fine, just how it is. And she's like, oh, come on, it'll be fun. And then I was just like, whatever. And then, moreover, they finally come over. And then, as Cody said, the initial eye contact was key because in that moment I realized how much I hated this kid. I just wanted to beat him up. Like I just
Yeah.
remember like going through all the petty motions in my head. Like I was commenting on what you were wearing, like how your hair was, just everything about
Which,
your body and your
by the way, was
everything.
awful. All of it. Yeah, it was all
Oh
awful. I'll
man.
admit to that. My long hair and bandana combo was.
Here,
Yeah.
let me actually fix that a little bit for you. It was actually your long hair that was pulled back into a ponytail. You're wearing that stupid black and red bandana, some random fucking band T-shirt with a camo jacket. You're wearing like blue jeans and some random fucking skateboard shoes. And I thought you looked like a retard, and I could have just
I
beat you.
I did look pretty bad. Yeah. So
But if
long
it
story
makes you feel
short,
better, David didn't do much better.
oh
As he
yeah,
was
that was back in
equipped
David's.
with full like tennis gear and like just jogging pants, and he was a hot mess for a long time.
For a long time. Thank God,
Uh,
was it Debbie that took you shopping and got you some human clothing?
that wasn't Debbie. It was one of my other friends.
Oh, okay. Either way, I'm glad you
And she was just
have
like,
a
"You
better
need
style
help."
nowadays. Yeah, you did. But yeah, and then so Tyler and I hated each other. Tyler hated David a little bit, but then David's got his stupid charm, and he just makes no enemies. He only makes friends. So ended up getting along fine. And then it wasn't until like a week or two later that Tyler and I actually bonded because I went to your house again, and you and your brother Mike were playing Guitar Hero, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna show them up, and I did pretty well. And I have the feeling that you guys didn't expect me to actually be as good as you guys on Guitar Hero because at that time this is Guitar Hero 2 days, so not many people were like really good at it. It was one of those party games where like people go, oh, haha, play it on easy. It's so hard. And meanwhile, we're over here playing fucking expert and like shredding as hard as we can on Guitar Hero. And
Right? Oh my god.
yeah, and I feel like you guys, I feel like I impressed you, and I feel like that might have been a turning point. It's like I showed you, like, hey, I'm actually good at this. And then we actually ended up bonding over Guitar Hero. Um, and then that kind of just kicked off our brotherly bond, and then all three of us became
Your brotherly
soul
love.
brothers. Brotherly love.
Soul brothers.
Our three-way bromance love triangle. No.
Whoa
Yeah.
there! Whoa! Taking it too far.
This is a 3 train.
Or not
You're
far
leaving.
enough. Yeah. We'll
This
chain
is
you
like a
down if we
package
have to.
eternity deal.
You're stuck
Oh,
with us
man.
forever. But no, so yeah, that's pretty much how Tyler and I met. David I met in elementary school.
Oh, elementary school, yeah.
Yeah, it was like third grade I met you. Something
Yeah,
like that.
I think I sat next to you in what, math class?
Yep, it was math. Because that was
It was math, and
that was, this is when you
and this guy, he would always tell me I'm doing my math wrong, and then he would proceed to prove it to me. But here's the kicker. I was doing the math right, and he was trying to prove that I was doing it wrong. So it didn't matter what subject it was, like, or what topic in regards to math. He'd be like, "No, that's wrong. It's this way." And I would just say, "Oh, just show me it. Show me." And he would start going through, and like midway through, like, he's scribbling with his pencil, and he just stops. He just kind of looks at me and is like, "Screw you." So this
Yeah.
repeated over and over until I was like, "Gonna prove yourself wrong again." And Cody here was always adamant that he was right too. Like, I mean, that's perseverance.
Yeah.
After proving
Disclaimer real
yourself
quick.
so wrong so many times, and then saying so confidently, "No, you're doing it wrong."
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
And math
still
was
done to
always
this
my
day,
strong
mind
suit
you.
too.
Not just in
You
math,
have
this
never
is in every
talked.
subject. I have an entire room to talk, okay?
Mr. Can't do 2 plus 1.
2 plus 1.
It's 2 plus
I mean,
2.
2 plus 2.
Yeah,
Mr. Can't
whatever.
recall stories.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, that's David.
yeah,
David
Tyler
takes the
here.
title on that one.
Tyler is just as bad. Hey, in my
And
defense,
David,
you
you can't
guys have
remember.
stories
You
that
can't
you've
remember
never
a saying
told
or
me
a song name to
that
save
you
your life.
expect me to know.
This is so true. David, you are the worst at remembering any quotes, song lyrics, movie, like it's just anything.
Hey,
Butcher it
I don't
so
detest
bad.
that. All I'm saying
could
though
be-
is that you guys concoct these stories that I was supposedly with you when I never was, and then you're like, "Don't you remember that?" And I'm like, "No, I wasn't there.
but
I was at school."
but I don't. I
But
feel like
don't
it's
you
not as
remember
bad.
that? It's like,
I feel it.
no, I wasn't there.
I feel like it's not as bad as like us saying or you trying to recount a song. Like so, this didn't happen,
Hey,
but
I'm
this is
not
like something that
arguing which
David.
is
This is
worse.
something
They're
David would
both
do.
bad.
If you were to try to remember the lyrics to um, the Queen song Bohemian Rhapsody, I feel like you would start off with, "Is this the real Earth? Is this just a fantasy?" So and we'd be like, "David, it's world. Is this the real world?" And
No,
you
it's
know,
Earth.
prove you wrong, because that's the level of like horrible memory you have when it comes to
Oh,
remembering lyrics and things like that.
yeah. My brain just says out the door,
Well, I
and
think it's
and
not
it's
just your
gone.
brain. I think it's just your wiring, your internal wiring completely, because it's not just remembering, it's also sight, smell, taste. So,
Hey, if there is
David,
something that smells fishy, I will smell it. I just won't be able to identify what it is.
Yeah, and
you'd be
you'll
like, that
Meanwhile,
smells
you
like an
guys will be
obscure
orange.
like, "Oh,
freaking
there's
name.
nothing. Like, there's nothing that smells," and I'll sniff my way to it, and I'll be like, "Found it," and then you'll be like, "But that does not smell like what you were saying. But how did you smell that?"
It was like, it smells like an orange. David, that's a freaking banana. Like, what?
Coming up with like freaking random ass scents.
Uh-huh. What was
Oh,
it that I used to drink those cock and bowls, that like ginger beer, and you said it smelled
oh
like hand
yeah. I said
sanitizer or
it
something like
tasted
that?
like
Tasted
lemon
like
hand
hand.
sanitizer.
Yeah, which it does not. It tastes freaking amazing.
It
So
tastes
yeah, I
like
don't know
lemon
what you're
hand
talking about.
sanitizer.
No.
I can't disagree with my taste buds.
Well, I
If
can
that's what
because
it
your taste
tastes like
buds
to
are
me,
just
then
wrong.
if that's what they taste, that's what they taste.
No, I can't. I just could never get past that. Okay, we're gonna shit on David some more here. That and how you say ideal instead of idea. God, that bugs me to no end.
Oh, that's his number one go-to.
Yeah. So David will be like, I have an ideal. Like, what, David? Do you mean idea? And then and then what you do to like excuse yourself of it is you're like, oh, it's just my Boston accent. Like, you're not from anywhere near Boston.
I didn't really
What?
say that.
When has he said this? I have to know. When has he
You've
said
never heard him
I've
say it?
never said that
Yes, you
in
always say,
regards
oh, people
as
just
a
tell me I
story
have a
for that.
Boston accent.
No,
You always
I had
say,
in
David, I'm not
elementary
making this
school,
up.
people said I had a Boston accent,
Yeah,
and I
and you
didn't
would
even
bring
know
it
what
up.
that sounded like at the time.
I know, but you
But
would bring it up.
I
You'd be
bring
like,
up
oh,
that
it's just 'cause I have a Boston accent.
I have speech issues. What can I say?
ideal?
Like, even in yeah, exactly. Like, I'm gonna be honest. There was one day I was with my brother and a friend, and they said that they saw a squirrel, and I had no clue how to say that. So like 30 minutes of them trying to get me to say squirrel. I kept saying skull, scroll, but I couldn't say squirrel, and it was so frustrating. I was like, "What is this foul magic?"
Yeah, your
Ah,
speech issues cracked me up. You're definitely a lot better nowadays, and I feel like I'm developing speech issues, which is kind of concerning. So like I notice it whenever I stream.
How
I just
so?
like I you'll have to like look at the stream, but if I like get going, I'll start talking. I like fumble words constantly, and it's weird. I don't know what it is. So it's
fumble.
I have to like try. I'll have to try to find like a VOD, because I swear to God, every stream I do it at least once. I'll like start talking, I'll fumble a word, and be like, I can't talk tonight, and basically it's just every night I can't talk. So
Pretty
like,
much. You
but
know,
yeah, like
I'll be modding, our Twitch stream, and comes up. I just can't talk. I'm tired.
yeah, yeah. It's usually I blame it on being
That's
tired,
his
which
excuse.
is fair.
That's Cody's go-to excuse. I'm tired.
Yeah, but it's true. I'm tired
Aren't we all
24/7.
tired? Aren't we all?
I'm not
No,
good
I'm
at like
Johnathan.
talking for prolonged periods, but
Go on.
typically I'm pretty good at like delivering quick wit and just letting it just stay there. Like awesome
Yeah. No,
one-liners.
yeah, you're definitely
Just
really good at
one-liners.
the
He's the
one-liner
one-line
thing.
master.
Yeah, he's
But God
amazing at it. I
forbid
am
he
so
have a
bad.
two-liner, then he's screwed.
I can't. I could never do one-liners. I think of the greatest thing to say like an hour later. So, like someone
No,
could
but
like just
But
trash
you know,
talk me. I'll
I
be
think
like,
I think
oh,
that's all of us, though. You know,
mm-mm.
whenever you look at something in
Tyler.
hindsight, it's just
We
like,
literally
oh,
just
I should
said
have said
Tyler's
that.
really good at this. No, Tyler's good at just like snapping back like instantly. So, not all
I'm
of us,
not good
David.
with
You
like
can't speak.
I don't know, like it's just so weird because I go into like a zone to where like if I were not in the zone, I couldn't be able to replicate or do anything like that ever again. But like I just get like into this quick trance. I'm like, all right, bitch, and then like I'll just say something really quick.
You kind of like a shark in a
That's,
feeding
that's
frenzy.
his
Your eyes
that's
go
his
black.
opening
And...
insult phrase.
Yeah, yeah, actually it is. I've never really thought about that, but yeah, you usually do start off with "All right, bitch."
It's that or it's first of all.
Yeah, first of all. It's like...
First of all, that's a no from me.
Yeah.
It's either okay, bitch, first of all, bitch, or
Yeah.
look. It's like it's one of those three. Is pretty much an indication that I'm ready to roast you.
Yeah, that's when you got to prepare your marshmallows because you're about to get a good roasting.
That's pretty clever. I like that.
Yeah. Thanks, I try. Oh man. So yeah, I miss the good old days of playing video games next to you guys. Except when y'all played Champions of Norath. Fuck that game.
It's one
So
of the best
funny thing about
games.
Champions of Wrath, there was one time me and David were playing or getting ready to play this game, Champions of Wrath, and Cody had already fallen asleep because he goes in this mode where like he wants to play a game, but any game that
Like,
you
he's
mention, he
desperate.
doesn't want to play it.
Like,
This
he wants to
disclaimer
play
real
a
quick.
game.
Disclaimer real quick. I was just gonna do this earlier, but for those that don't know, I go by Cody from like my old high school and like friends and family all know me as Cody because that's what I used to go by. It's my middle name. I go by Johnathan now, and that's what I prefer to go by, except for people that I've known for a long period of time. So when you hear them say Cody,
Yeah,
they're
they
talking
just
about
have
me.
no choice in the matter. Like,
Yeah,
we're just gonna
basically.
call him it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. So anyway, go ahead.
Yep.
Continue.
But yes,
Yeah, he goes in this mode where he is desperate to play a game, and he has to play a game with his buddies, but he doesn't want to play any game. But then he gets upset if you
what we
play
call-
a game without him.
This is true. This is what we call E-mode in our little circle of friends.
yes. So like no matter like regardless of the game that you mentioned that you want to play, he'd be like, no.
Yeah. So then at a
anything that you
certain point,
Mhm.
at a certain point,
So-
Tyler and I are just like, okay, we're gonna play this game. When you have a game in mind that you want to play, like we don't even care what it is, we'll play even if we don't want to. When you have a game that you want to play, just let us know. So it's not even like we're saying, oh, we're just gonna play without you. It's just like we're gonna play until you decide that you want a game to play that you know that we have. So
And
this would go
here's-
on, and he would just end up falling asleep because he couldn't make up his mind.
And here's the
So-
funniest saying about this particular incident, because there's one time he did fall asleep while we were playing Champions of Norath, or like we're getting ready to play it because we had just already been exhausted of like hearing him whine. But there's one time in particular he had fallen asleep, and me and David are just gonna play Champions of Norath, and
We
think-
mentioned the word. Well, actually, no, we already were playing, and then like
Oh.
at some point we were like, yeah, it's just funny that Cody hates Champions of Norath so much, and you know he's snoring too, and he like Cody is a loud snorer, like
I don't snore. I don't know what you're talking about.
like it's pretty bad.
Lies.
So he's snoring away, and you know, and I say the word Champions of Norath, and his eyes just like wide open, bam, and he's just like fucking hate that game, and then he like closes his eyes and starts snoring again. It's like,
was like
what?
it was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen because I've never seen anybody just like wake up for a split second and they be like, "I hate that game," and just like fall instantly back asleep.
Like it's I don't know, like some demon, some foul demon
So
was,
demon.
was
possessed.
possessing you to say that.
That's like him.
That
That's
game-
like him and his texting. Like he used to be so bad at it. Like we'd just be like passed out, and I'd look over at him. And he'd get a text. He'd wake up, instantly reply to the text, and fall right back asleep, like from a dead
Yeah,
sleep.
like
it was.
yeah, he would, if we didn't go to sleep first, like he would just conk out, and you just hear beep beep. It's like
So just
how?
visualize
This,
visualize that for a second. Those are some great sound effects, David. See, you're gonna have to use your imagination, audience, on that one.
like,
Yeah,
he's
and the
just,
worst
like,
part about it,
punching his keyboard.
the worst part about it is that I have no recollection of any of this because I'm so like I feel like it's like a subconscious. Like I subconsciously wake up, do these things that you say I do, and then go back to sleep, and I'm none the wiser until I'm told later on what
Ah.
actually happened.
There'll be at some
Yeah,
point in
it's
our life where we all three reunite, and I will record this strictly for like the audience or the podcast. Like record him falling asleep. Someone will text him, and I will capture this image for everybody to see.
I don't know if I do it
Oh.
anymore. I guess I wouldn't know because there's nobody here to tell me I do it. But I don't know. I don't ever wake up to like text like, oh, I sent that. That's weird. So.
Well, he used to, like, he would look at a text message and be like, when did that happen?
Yeah, I used to.
Because he would do a text when he was asleep, and like sometimes he would like arrange something and just completely forget about it because you never knew he texted anyone because he did it while sleeping.
Well, see, now in order for any of that to happen, I have to be drunk. So I feel like I get that same effect being drunk now. So basically, what happened when all this happened was I was essentially drunk. So, but just
With
not.
no
I was
alcohol
just-
content.
Yeah, I was drunk off sleep, melatonin. Wait, is it melatonin?
Let's get
Is that
to-
the right- What's
we
that
should get
sleeping
to the prime story. Oh no, it is melatonin.
is? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it? I feel like that's wrong.
Mhm.
I
No, it's correct.
Oh, it's like supplement
brother
for
used to
sleep,
take it for
so,
years.
Yeah, melatonin
Yeah.
hormone for sleep.
yeah, melatonin.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
right. All right. Anyway, what's this prime story you're talking about, Tyler?
The prime story is when me and you actually questioned our friendship one day over a pie.
You didn't know pies can most certainly destroy friendships.
Oh yes. So obviously, all three of us, we consider each other brothers. We were very close, and we will die for each other. At least I would die for them. They probably wouldn't for me because they hate me. But
Only if
Yeah,
you sit on my
yeah.
pie or challenge me on my pies, then that's
Yeah.
grounds for you just dying alone.
so yeah. So
There are multiple pie
essentially,
stories.
yeah. Essentially, nothing can come between us except for pie. So I'll let Tyler kick this one off since he brought it up.
Well, this is just the most important part that like if anyone needs to understand our friendship and why we're all friends, that this is like the key ingredient. Like every team has a weakness, and we
This
just
is
we
our
just
Achilles
need
heel.
to yeah, it needs to be known that like women or anything else, money, whatever, has no effect, but food does. So, more over to the story. So there was a time in our lives when me and Cody had lived together, and him and his mom and their dad were starting to be friends again because obviously their parents had split.
Obviously,
uh,
because our audience knows this. Obviously.
Oh, do they? Well, they do now. You're welcome.
Damn it, that was my one secret. No, anyway.
Exposed. But yes, the parents were starting to become friends again, so the mother was coming over to visit more regularly. And during that time, I don't know what really brought us to that point of getting that angry to begin with. I think we had just seen too much of each other that day, so we were already on
Probably.
edge. better. We had gone through our sessions where we insult each other for like an hour or 2 hours at a time. But anyways, she had gone to the store and she had come back, and she got us each, something just to be nice. And I don't know what Cody was doing, just zoning out or in another room or whatever, because I don't quite remember. But I was talking with his mom, and she said, "Here, I got this for you specifically because I know that pecan pie is your favorite. So here you go." So I was like, "Great." So the first thing I do is I go
Great.
to great.
Sounds so appreciative of that. Great. They got me a freaking pie.
I
What am I gonna
expected
do
no
with
less.
this? Eat it?
She had failed, she would have not have returned ever again. But so I go out and I grab my spoon, and I guess at this time I wasn't paying attention because I had my back turned to the living room where Cody was at that time. And I got a spoon and I just dug right into the middle of the pie and just shoved it like a spoonful into my mouth. And like not even like 2 seconds into enjoying like the pie that I had just consumed, Cody had decided to open up his smart mouth and challenge me on it. He said something like, "What do you think you're doing? That's for everyone."
Yeah, I said I'm pretty sure I threw the word rude in it. Like vaguely, or I specifically remember that.
Yes.
I said that's pretty rude or something along those lines.
And that immediately had me triggered on defense.
Triggered.
I was like, "Bitch, rude."
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty much like that. And then, so yeah, I called him out on it because, from my point of view, I didn't know it was specifically for him. I did not hear my mom tell him this. So I see him dig a freaking spoon in the middle of an entire freaking pecan pie, which I was like, oh, hey, pecan pie, that looks good. So I see him do this. I'm like, that's pretty rude. Get a slice. What are you doing? And he turns around. He whips around and he's like, basically he did say, bitch, what do you mean? And he's like, it's my pie. And I look at him like, it's not your pie, it's for everybody. So we start arguing back and forth and like just, talking shit to each other. And my mom finally comes in.
I'm just gonna throw this in there. I'm pretty sure this was a freaking setup because, like, as soon as I had fired back at you, she had like left the room and disappeared. And at that point, we were just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I think we at least got like a minute and a half of insults, and before she decided to intervene and be like, "Hey, I actually did get that for him."
Yeah.
And
she just
like,
wanted
all the
to
while,
see a fight that day.
Yeah, she did, and she would have got one too if she had stayed out of it. But I could just like remember like the only things going through my head is like how much I'm gonna beat this kid up, like I'm gonna throw him off the balcony and watch him roll down the hill, like just like all these horrible things that I was gonna do to him.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then my mom finally comes in and is like, no, I did get that for him. And I was like, oh. And then at that point, Tyler and I just stopped talking to each other because we were both pissed off. Even though I was wrong, I was still pissed off because I, just saw him dig a freaking entire spoon into the middle of a damn pie. Like, come on. So that was probably the
Incident
most,
number one.
Yeah, yeah. That happened before Instant 2, but this one was probably the worst out of everything. This is probably the one that nearly ended us.
Because normally we just say mean things to each other like on the regular, but this time in particular, we actually said these things and meant them.
Meant them, yeah. Over a pecan pie. Oh,
no, I get crazy over food.
You really do. It's kind of scary. Instant 2 was pretty funny.
Like, this is why those Snickers commercials were invented.
Yeah. Hey, you're getting how's the Snickers commercial go? I completely forgot. Like, it's basically like they tell them
you're not you when you're hungry or something.
Yeah, you're not you when you're hungry. That's what it is. Yeah.
Have a Snickers.
That's definitely true for me because I get whacked out and crazy and super mean, and like I'm never mean to anybody, but.
Yeah.
Well, besides you, because you're worthless and garbage, but like anybody else, I'm really nice to.
See, this is how you know we love each other. But no, Incident 2 is pretty funny. Incident 2 was Tyler had one of those little hand pies, those like mini pies, the little Debbie pie. No, it wasn't little Debbie. I think like Hostess made them or something like that. But it was just those little like microwavable pies. Um, and he had one of those, and he put it down on the fucking bed. And this is where he fucked up. He put it down on the bed, with no plate, no nothing. Just put it on the bed in its wrapper, and basically said, "Hey, don't sit on that. I'm gonna eat that." So I did my best not to sit on it. And apparently, when I sat down, you know how when you sit on a bed, like it kind of like sinks in a little bit where you're sitting. And I sat close enough to the pie where it slid right down under my butt and smashed it.
It was great too
Oh.
because Cody here was like consciously trying to avoid the pie, like moving his body position rather than just like picking up the pie and moving and then sitting down or doing anything else. He was like doing this
Well,
awkward
I was
movement,
traumatized.
and he
I did not
finally
want to touch
sits
that pie.
down, and
I
the
didn't want to
pie
even.
he was traumatized.
I could not touch that pie. I knew if I touched that pie, there was a good chance I would die.
So,
Oh my
and like
gosh.
Tyler specifically had said, "Don't you dare squish my pie." So Cody's just like afraid of the pie, like just horrified to even like get near it. But he wants to sit down on the bed, and there's this pie that's an obstacle. So I was like, I'm gonna sit next to it. And and he's moving real slow too. It wasn't like, oh, he jumped on the bed and it, went under. He's just moving real slow. And he goes to sit down and that pie just like whoop. And you just hear this. Oh man. The look on Tyler's face. And I was
I think I had to.
it was so bad because I was like, wait a minute, he tried not to sit on it. He just failed. Like he legitimately tried not to squish the pie. And
And then this
Like, I
moment,
don't-
he
there
knew
is
he
no
fucked up.
hope for that pie.
Like, I don't
Yeah,
remember my reaction to that because I kind of blacked that moment out because I was so fucking angry. But like, I can remember like certain things, like the vein in my neck and like on my forehead, just like fucking pulsating, and they're like fiery hot because I was so angry. I
And then
think
I tried
like
to
I don't
explain to
remember.
you. Well, then I
Yeah,
tried to
I
explain
think
to you that it tastes fine. It's just squished, and you were not having that either. So.
I think I had to excuse myself outside. I don't remember.
Oh yeah,
We
you
had to go
definitely left the room
outside.
for a little bit. Yeah, that was definitely a thing.
Yeah, because I had to go outside because I went outside and I was just like screaming. I was just like, "Fuck!" Just like.
Yeah. So this is basically how our friendship has gone and how will probably continue to go until the day one of us dies. So David's kind of like the moderator for most of it. He never starts anything, and he never finishes anything. He just kind of is there, and he kind of. I feel like David, what you do is you kind of like play me and Tyler like puppets against each other at times. You'll do like
Hey,
little things here and
that's
there.
not fair. Because I mean, just because well, we'd be playing Super Smash Brothers, and I was quite a bit better because that was the one game I played way more than them. So we'd do free for all, and we'd be playing, and they would be down one or two more lives than me. So then Cody would be like, "Hey Tyler, we got to gang up on him because he's way too far ahead." And Tyler would be like, "Yeah, you're right. Let's get him." So these two would be trying to get me. I was a professional at dodging and throwing people.
Yeah,
Like
fucking
that's
nerd.
that is my main skill at that game, just dodging, throwing people. So this would happen where I'd be in the middle, and Cody would be playing Samus or somebody with a projectile, and he would charge it up and he would blast it at me, and I would either jump or I would dodge out of the way, and it would hit Tyler. And he'd be like, "Oh God, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you." So this would happen like 2 or 3 more times until Tyler's just like, "All right, you're going down, Cody." And Cody would be like, "No, he's trying to pit us against each other." Because every
It's
time
true.
Cody would try and hit me, I would dodge, and he would end up smacking the crap out of Tyler here.
Yeah, because you
So
did it
it
on
gets to the
purpose.
point where I'm just sitting there watching Tyler go berserk on Cody. And Cody's
Yeah.
like trying to calm him down, and usually like after most of a life or a life, Cody would talk him back into it's like okay, like he turned us against each other, like we really got to team up, and they would start teaming up again, and the same thing would happen. You know, he would try and hit me with a move, I would dodge, Tyler would get hit, and I would do the same thing where Tyler would try and hit, you know, Cody, or no, Tyler try and hit me, but I would just like throw Cody into Tyler, so then Tyler would hit Cody.
Piece of shit.
Yeah,
It
that
was so
you're
devious.
an evil mastermind. So yeah, all right. I feel like we should wrap it up. We're at an hour and 5 minutes, but yeah, like, yeah, it's kind of like a turned into like a nostalgia cast.
Yep.
But yes, I mean,
Well, now
I
you
feel
know a
like it
little
went pretty
bit
good.
about the
Yeah,
CGG squad, how
little
we came to
history
be.
of us and how
Kind of
we hate each other but love each other at the same time.
got a
So
little
in the future, in the future, I feel like this podcast is kind of gonna be more about like video games and stuff. I want, like I said, I want to get other Twitch streamers on here and do some interviews with them. I think that'd be really
But
fun.
that's gonna be down the road. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, if this goes well, if it gets a good response, I think we could definitely do that sooner than later. I mean, we can get some.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, of course.
we're just small streamers ourselves, so I'm gonna focus on like trying to get smaller streamers and just kind of like building up that community sort of thing. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this. Want see, there you go. That's what I was talking about, Tyler. Where I like with my words. Part of the reason I
Very
wanted to do the
interesting.
podcast. Yeah, right. Well, part of the reason I wanted to do the podcast was because I want to just make another avenue to build our community. Because with CryoGearGaming, it's all about community. I feel like, and so just any avenue we can do to get that going, I feel like we should try it. And so that's why I want to do this test run podcast. And I thought it went really well. I had a fun time. I don't know about you guys, but hopefully next week we can get Chris on here as well. She is another founder of CGG. Well, she came in like a year later, but she came in right when we started really building CGG up, so she's
Yeah, because
considered
we
a
had the
founder as well.
concept down, and it's like we want to do this, but we
Yeah,
really didn't have the time,
yeah.
at
So
that point. So
yeah, and before we end this, I also want to really kind of explain. CryoGear is, we do streaming. We're eventually gonna do more YouTube content. Um, gonna have a website, hopefully with like forums, stuff like that. We're gonna do a game eventually. We have this whole huge plan, and
yeah,
we hope that's
mainly it's entertainment in regards
yeah,
to
it's
like the video game
entertainment.
industry.
Yeah, it's entertainment, it's community, it's like last night we had that huge stream and everybody played Mario Kart with us. It's like I want to have more moments like that because I think it's really fun to be able to share video games with other people. But on that note, I think we'll end it here. Any last words from you guys?
CGG.
CGG for life. No.
Not
Better
particularly,
get the
but
hype.
it's been fun.
Yes. Yeah, and we'll do it
It
again next week.
has.
I think we'll maybe stream it live next week. I think that'd be kind of fun. So that we can get we can do questions and things like that as well. But yeah, thank you, Tyler, for joining us, and thank you, David, for joining us, and thank you
And
for
thank you,
whoever's
Cody, for
listening.
joining us.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
It's been real.
It's
We're
been
gonna have a
real.
thank
Nah,
apocalypse here.
thank apocalypse. It's kind of like the loveception. But yeah, no, thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see you next podcast, hopefully. Bye.